Before giving the account of the birth of Jesus, the Gospel of Matthew opens with a very long genealogy that begins with Abraham and concludes with the birth of Jesus the Messiah. Most of the names we do not recognize, but they are listed to document the 42 generations from Abraham to Jesus. The Gospel of Luke offers a similar accounting of Jesus' ancestors, only this lineage moves backwards from Jesus all the way to the creation of Adam. It was especially important for early Jewish Christians to connect the dots this way. At the heart of both of these long passages is the name Jesse. Jesse, the father of King David. David, the son of Jesse. King David was their greatest king. None others were ever like him. It would be from his line that the Messiah would come. Consequently, Isaiah 11, verses 1 and 2 were especially loved by the early church. Because they understood this prophecy to be about Jesus, this scripture is often read during Advent. It reads like this: "A shoot shall come out of the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and fear of the Lord." Here ends the scripture lesson for this morning.
I'm very fond of the little story that I told to the children a little while ago, where the trees participate in the key events of Jesus' life. His birth, when he's placed in the manger, his time of teaching and healing, when he retreats to a boat or crosses the lake with a boat, whether he's preaching from it or walking on water, or the cross itself, that sign for us of Jesus' suffering and death, his selflessness on behalf of others. But I love these trees, and at the same time, I think Jesus can get trapped in these trees. There are some who really love Christmas, the baby Jesus, the sweet story of his birth with the animals at the stable and the angels singing and the shepherds visiting. They love the carols and the gift giving and the family times. Some of us feel so close to the love of God at Christmas. But people who trap Jesus in the manger, just loving this part of the story the most, sometimes they don't think much else about Jesus and their lives, maybe until Easter. But a lot happens in between. There are some people, some Christians, who pretty much trap Jesus in that fishing boat. They love his teachings. They love the stories he told. They love the way he healed people. They want to hear these stories again and again, learn from them, incorporate into their lives, try to stay with Jesus in that boat and among the people. This is the part of the story where some of us feel the love of God the most. Many of these people would trap Jesus in that fishing boat because they do not want to move on to the Jesus of the cross. But there are some Christians who keep Jesus just trapped on that cross. They bring their entire focus to the suffering of Jesus. They're unconcerned about the joy of Christmas or the work it takes to be a follower of Jesus in our lives. They just know that Jesus suffered horribly and died for them. That is the story of Jesus, that and that alone. They feel the love of God most when they think about Jesus on the cross. The guilt associated with that and the gratitude they feel with that makes this a constant focus, and it sort of keeps Jesus trapped on that cross, rather than looking at the whole of his life and his resurrection. As Maggie shared with you, there's another tree that Jesus can get trapped in. The genealogies that she read from Luke and Matthew. In these, she reminds us that Jesus can get stuck in his family tree, what we call the Jesse tree by tradition, because of that scripture she read from Isaiah. O come, Emmanuel made reference to the tree of Jesse. Lo, how a rose ere blooming, that you'll hear a little bit later, alludes to the beautiful branch that rises from Jesse. Jesse, the father of King David, who was the best king ever. And Isaiah says that from Jesse's stump is going to grow a shoot that will, out from the roots of Jesse's life, bring the one who is filled with the Spirit of the Lord. He's going to be smart. He's going to be caring. He's going to be mighty. He is going to be awed by God, which is what that word fear often means in Scripture, and he's going to love God entirely. Now, early Christians knew this scripture from Isaiah, and in it they saw Jesus. The genealogies and the scripture quoting that comes up in the Gospels were very important to those early Christians to prove that Jesus fulfills all the prophecies. He's the one who rises up from that family tree, starting with Jesse and rising to Jesus at the very top. For many Christians in that early church, this understanding of Jesus was one of the ways they felt so very much the love of God. Well, there are Christians today that trap Jesus in that same tree. They want to show you exactly who Jesus is, exactly how he fulfills Scripture, exactly how he saves your life, and exactly what the right beliefs are about God and Jesus that you should hold. They want this for you. In having it in their own life and in helping you see it, they truly feel the love of God. Now, in our 21st century world, beyond being trapped in that tree, that genealogical family tree, we live in this culture that tells us to shop because it's going to be good for the economy. And in the gifts and the cards and the parties and Santa and Christmas lights and trimming the tree and all the other choices we make during the season for the use of our time and our talents and our money, Jesus can get trapped in the Christmas tree. He can lose his place at the center of the celebration, and before you know it, Christmas is done, and it's time to take down the tree, and ooh, you noticed him tucked there someplace in the branches of all that activity. Jesus can get trapped in any of those trees. The manger, the boat, the cross. Can get trapped in his family tree, can get trapped in our seasonal Christmas trees. It doesn't necessarily happen just at Christmas, though. When we either let him drop out of sight altogether in our lives or keep him tucked away someplace that's comfortable and clear, where we're very sure that we really do know all that we need to understand about Jesus to live our lives as his followers, when we do this, we keep Jesus trapped in some kind of tree, and our faith gets stuck there too, and we find ourselves not really going anywhere. We too are trapped in the tree. Now, Joe Prinn, who lots of you know, found an image that he emailed to me some weeks ago, and I think it speaks to this stuck faith place. Could we see that slide? Isn't that just perfect? Trapped in a tree, not really going anywhere. Oh, we don't want our lives to look like that, do we? Jesus is more than the stuff of our holiday celebrations. He's more than a descendant of King David who fulfills the prophecies. Jesus is more than the baby of the Christmas story. He's more than the teacher and the healer who walked the earth. He is more than the suffering servant and friend who gave his life on the cross. Jesus is what God looks like in human form. And as the risen Christ, he's alive in us and among us, offering to free us from all and any trees we are stuck in. Excuse me. I want us to climb down from those trees. I want us to come to the communion table and meet Jesus here in all the ways we can learn to know him better. I'd like us to take a moment, perhaps as the choir is singing Lo How a Rose Ere Blooming, to think about whatever tree you might be trapped in as this season unfolds.